Hey, you. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you. Are you looking for the best way to promote your podcast? It's easy. Just advertise your podcast to your ideal target audience. That's right, listeners of similar podcasts. Podbean has the best and most cost-effective options for you. Just go to the website sponsorship.podbean.com/STR. That's right, your friends here at Scout Team Radio are hooking you up. Go to sponsorship.podbean.com/STR and you will get the best deals to get your podcast rolling. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy Scout Team Radio.
Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every weekday, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. on 12-ounce Sports Radio. We also record our podcast and drop it on our podcast network, barnburner.ca. You can catch it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, anywhere you can find a podcast. I am one of your hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And the man on the other microphone, he is a great American. We know him as... Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you hot and live like I do every day on this beautiful Monday. It's March the 18th. That's Peyton Manning Day. 1-8, Peyton Manning Day. Now, after a few technical difficulties, we pick you up after the commercial break from this morning's episode of Scout Team Radio.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Yes, I am. Welcome back. We want to thank everybody out there for listening. And once again, we are Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning. And we want to thank you for listening to us on 12-ounce Sports Radio. If you don't catch the live show, we always have the podcast. We drop the podcast daily. And when you get to go listen to that podcast, you can listen to it on the Barn Burner Network. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, anywhere you find a podcast, including our website, scoutteamradio.com. Make sure you rate us, review us, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. So good times there. Good times there. Also, like Chris America mentioned, hit us up on Twitter. We are social at Scout Team Radio on Twitter. Hit us up like Memphis Spence is doing right now. He just clarified. He said Arizona State. That's that third Pac-12 team that got in there. All right, I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, Chris America, you and I, we had an adventure this weekend. We went to the Orlando Apollos game, and the Alliance is hot right now, and the Orlando Apollos were hot. They were sitting at 5-0, and we had ourselves quite the adventure, didn't we?
Yeah, so the week started out with an email somewhere in the middle of the week saying, hey, guys, got a lot of people coming in. A lot of seats being taken up in the press box, so we're not going to be able to give you guys press access, but we'll still give you a media pass. We'll still let you guys in and get you some seats somewhere in the stadium, and you guys can cover the game. It'll be great. So we're like, okay, cool. So we get to the game. We get inside, and you're like, man, I'm hungry. I'm going to get some food. I'm like, well, why don't we just go up to the press box anyways and see if they got food there? Because it's probably, they told us that we don't have a seat there, right? There's only a certain amount of seats inside the press box. And they didn't say anything about, like, you can't go in or whatever. Just that there's limited seating, and we didn't get a seat this time. So let's roll up there, and let's see. And you were kind of like, I don't know. I'm not so sure. So I was like, well, what's the worst they could do? They could just tell us no. So then we roll in. The people at the elevator, they see our pass. They let us through. We get up there, and then there's this guy in a suit just standing at the door, and we're like, okay, well, this is kind of new. Like that wasn't last time, was it? I don't remember
No.
a guy like that professional looking.
Yeah, no, they were a little bit higher security on this end. But
Right.
He wasn't doing a good job, was he?
No, so he kind of made me nervous to go in because he's like, here, let me see your pass. And so we showed him, and then he kind of nervously looked, and then and then I just like walked by because I've always had this like theory that the one thing that con men have when they're trying to get away with stuff is they always just act like they're supposed to be there. And so that's what I was doing. I was like, I'm just going to act like I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is my media pass. This is where we were the last time they had a home game at the Apollos. And let's just walk on through. And you were kind of like still hesitant, right?
Yeah, I was. I didn't have that same air of confidence. I'm like, something's not sitting well here. This
Yeah.
doesn't look right. I feel like we're out of place.
So then we get in there, and there's like all the seats are empty where you can sit down and watch the game. And there's like 2 rows of seats right at the window, and then there's like 2 steps up to like just this main area. If you've ever been inside of the box, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then there's like these bar stools on either side, and everybody's standing up and sitting up them. And I'm like, all right, hey dude, they got chili dogs, they got hamburgers, go ahead and eat. And you're still just kind of sitting there like a fish out of water.
I did. I felt like it. And that was my bad.
So everybody had their backs to us, and I think we could have stayed in there longer had I not. I was the one that made the mistake, and I started sensing your nervous energy, so I kind of had the nervous energy. So I went and I sat down in one of the seats so I could watch the game, since everybody was standing up at this bar and everything. And so I sat there for like 2 minutes. I think I saw like 2 or 3 plays. They scored a touchdown, and then I got up and I was like, still saw you like a deer in headlights. Like, Chris, man, I don't know, we're supposed to be in here. And when I went back to you, I saw this old guy, and I was like, that guy looks familiar. And I thought nothing of it, and I just kept on with you. And I was like, dude, you're gonna get some food, and you were still kind of wishy-washy. Why did you not get food?
It just, I'm telling you, it didn't seem right. It wasn't the same as last time. It wasn't as inviting. It felt like we weren't supposed to be in this particular press box.
Right.
Maybe it was a private press box for somebody. I don't know. What do you think?
So I went over, I checked the fridge, no waters, but they had water stacked up on the counter. I was like, damn it, that kind of sucks. I wanted a cold water, but whatever. It's free. So I grab my water, I go sit down again, and then finally this guy says, excuse me, sir. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, who are you guys with? And it's that old guy that I thought, man, that guy looks really familiar. And I was like, I'm with 12 Ounce Sports. Why? And he's like, aren't you supposed to be on the other end? You guys aren't supposed to be here. And I was like, oh, okay, my bad. And then we left. And then we're like, we didn't even, now I felt you're the full on, like, we're not supposed to be here. We got that email. All right, let's not ruin this good thing. Let's not make waves to where they come up and they're like, oh, you're you're not ESPN, you're not CBS, you're not Bill Polian. Bill Polian doesn't like you, so you guys are banned from the stadium. So at that point, I'm like, let's just get out of here. Let's go back. Let's just go to our seats. Let's get out of here. And then as we get off the elevator, you're like, holy crap, dude, that's Bill Polian.
I was. You're like, I thought he looked familiar. That was him.
Yeah.
Bill Polian kicked us out of the press box.
You pulled him up on your phone.
was
You're
his
like, oh, that was Bill Polian.
That was his private press box that we just kind of barged our way in and hung out. And yeah, no, I don't think he was too happy either. Didn't he give you like he gave off a very like, what the hell are you doing in my press box?
I felt like the kid who climbed over the fence to get his ball, and it was that old man get off my lawn like ordeal. That is what it was. It was definitely a get off my lawn type tone. Like I can't describe his face. It was just that typical old man. And I told you, I was like, it would have been okay if he would have just kicked us out. Like, that's no big deal. We're not supposed to be there. That's his private thing. Number one, I kind of felt bad for the security guard because I imagined that Bill Polian being mad at us went out there and probably chastised somebody like hardcore for letting us in, and I felt bad for that guy. But then again, he shouldn't have let us in. He should have known better.
I don't know. He just let us do our thing. Yeah, honestly, I don't think anything came about it. He was probably just like, get out of my press box, and then that was
get off my lawn.
But yeah, he was a crotchety old man and not so happy. I mean, there was a lot of empty seats in that press box, I might want to add. I mean, we could have easily sat there and enjoyed the game, and he would have been okay. He didn't need to bother us that way.
No, and we weren't bothering him either.
No, we were being quiet and nice, and we were.
I mean, we were being we were doing what you would do when you go in a press box. Like, we're not your typical fans that are gonna go chug some beers and everything else. But I don't know, man. I mean, I get it. It's still your press box. You had the assumption that you were gonna be there by yourself with your family, and you don't know us from Adam. So I get the whole kicking us out thing. I thought it could have just been more like, hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Oh yeah. Typical mistake, man. I know this is normally the press box, but we reserve this out for me and my family. If it's okay with you guys, like, you guys got your area down there this week. Cool, man. Got it.
No, that's not how he rolls. That was his private press box.
That is not how he rolls. But
get out of here. Get off of my lawn.
I gotta say, man, if that's Bill Polian, like, the guy who's, what is he, like a CEO or, well, he's not the CEO anymore, but he's a high executive, right? He's founder of the league, right?
Yes.
That food spread was the exact same food spread we had when we were up there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and there was no way he was eating that food spread. The hamburgers and chili dogs, no. They got to be bringing him something better than that. I mean, come on.
Come on. Yeah. At least
I bet
he
had a nice meal before the game. He didn't even care about that. He knows better.
But if you're going to have a big wig in any box, whether it's a press box, a suite, or whatever, you got to bring your A game. Bring in some catering. Bring in something. Maybe bring him some Four Rivers. Four Rivers is a good local area. Maybe cater some Tijuana Flats, giving out some free promo here. But yeah, I was like, man, you're getting fed the same food as the commoners. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, not a whole lot special there, right?
No, they didn't do anything special for him in that box. That's for sure. Which again is weird. Well, I felt it was weird why they were putting him in the press box. Like, well, you couldn't find another suite that's open.
Yeah, I think like he must have been a last minute kind of add-on where they just like shuffled people around, said, here, this is as good as it gets. Yeah, it was weird that he was actually in the press box, not in one of the luxury boxes, or I guess those are probably already paid for and reserved. So they just had to find whatever halfway corner they could find to put Bill Polian in. It was
now
weird.
that I think of it, maybe that's why he was a little bit mad. Is because he was put in this press box. They didn't give him any good food, and now he's got these two jabronis coming in, acting like they belong there. He's like, man, I used to be the owner of this thing. I founded this thing, and now that guy bought me out with his investment. Now I'm stuck in this press box with these crappy chili dogs and these two jabronis from 12-ounce Sports Radio.
Yes. I'd be kind of angry too, I think. Now that you put it that way, yeah, there's definitely I'd be pretty annoyed also.
But you know what would have cheered him up, Loudbeard?
What would have cheered him up?
This right here. Yeah, buddy, our Orlando Magic are back to their winning ways. They got a 60% chance, according to one website, of making the playoffs. The Orlando Magic finally get it put together this past weekend, Loudbeard.
Yeah, Magic, they get back onto their winning ways. They played Chicago, right? I got to look back into the depths of my memory. I'm pretty sure they played Chicago.
They beat the Hawks yesterday.
Oh.
And then they got the Pelicans next.
Yep.
They beat the Cavaliers the time before that. So we lose to the Wizards, which was bad. We lose to the Wizards. I mean, you're not way off. Chicago, Cleveland, same difference. See, they both start with C, and they're in the Midwest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't let anybody from Chicago hear you that I just said Cleveland and Chicago are the same thing. That does not go over well.
No. Both cities would be like, no, I'm not that. We're not that city. Are you kidding me?
We're not that city.
They'd both be annoyed. Pretty pissed off at me right now, huh?
We do host the two teams from the West that really should be in the East. We host the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies. Those two teams come and visit Orlando. And, I think we're really just in the running with the Heat now. I feel like the Hornets are kind of out.
Yeah, but the Heat have been looking good as of late. Now, I do want to mention, you were talking about the Orlando Magic. Former Orlando Magic legend Mario Hezonja blocks LeBron James at the buzzer as the Knicks upset the Lakers 124-123. So it doesn't matter if you are on the Magic currently or former Magic legend. Everybody for the Magic had a great weekend.
Yes. Man, when I saw that, at first I just saw the block and I was like, oh, okay, that happens. And then I saw who it was, Mario Hezonja, former 5th overall pick by the Orlando Magic, one of the worst picks in Orlando Magic history. Oh, it made it that much sweeter.
Felt real good.
Oh, yeah. All I could think about was in the movie Black Panther when Killmonger beats up the Black Panther and says, "This is your king? Is this your king?" Oh, that's what it felt like.
You really hate LeBron James. You really do.
I don't hate him. Hate is such a strong word. I just like it when he fails.
Okay, so you have a strong dislike for him, a distaste for his success.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, we could put it that way.
More for his fans.
All right. So after the football game, so we had the Orlando Apollos experience, our little run-in with Bill Polian. There was a fight on, and it wasn't the Scout team versus Bill Polian fight that we had mentioned earlier. This was a different fight. So we see the welterweight title come up, and we don't talk a lot of boxing on this show, but Errol Spence Jr. defeats Mikey Garcia, who had gone up 2 weight classes, 2 undefeated boxers. We don't talk boxing because we don't know boxers that well because the sport is dying, but this was a big match. Spence Jr. gets the big win and basically dominates and goes 25-0. We got to watch this after our post-game interview and post-game coverage for the Orlando Apollos. Kind of a fun fight, except Spence beat the living crap out of Garcia, huh?
Oh, man. And, they put up the stats of, punches landed, and it just wasn't fair. Honestly, it was embarrassing that they put that stat up there. Because I think had you been watching it just without seeing that stat, you'd be like, oh, man, he's really getting beat. But it was just embarrassing to see. I think it was, ended up being, 300 and something to 100. At one point, I think we saw there was, a 33-1 landed punch advantage in one round. And we're like, how does this happen? How do you not just start throwing things, trying to make a connection? I mean, I know that's not what you're supposed to do in boxing, but come on, man. You got to get some work in.
Now, Garcia had won his previous 40 professional fights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, isn't that crazy? 40 fights and then getting out there and just getting beat down like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. That's why you got to fight everybody. That's why you got to play everybody. You never know. I mean, it's kind of like with Alabama and Clemson this past year, right? Everybody's high on Alabama for good reason. And some people are like, wishy-washy on Clemson, and that's why you have to settle it on the field or in the boxing ring. You can sit there and argue till you're blue in the face, but until they actually get in there and start fighting, we realize that even though Garcia had won his 40 previous fights, he had no business being in the ring with Spence.
Now, does this change your mind on the whole feeling of the fight, knowing that Garcia went up 2 weight classes to fight Spence?
How many pounds is this 2 weight classes? I don't know.
I think it's 11
classes.
pounds or something. It's not too much. I think it was from 1 and maybe 15 pounds. I mean, it's a difference.
I mean, even if it's 20 pounds, in boxing, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. And I don't think it makes any difference in the fight, the fact that he just got punched a bunch of times. It'd be one thing if he got knocked out and you're like, okay, he went up 2 weight classes. The guy was obviously bigger, stronger, and that's why he got knocked out. But that's not what happened. He kind of got just pummeled. Now, in MMA, I definitely think the weight class is a difference because you add in the grappling, you add in the wrestling, you add in all of that stuff that gives you an advantage of being that much heavier than somebody because you're actually putting that weight to use. Where boxing, I mean, is there really that much of a power difference between a guy that's 140 and a guy that's 160? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I'm going to talk about heavyweights now for you, Chris America. But I'm going to talk about heavyweight quarterbacks because we've got one big heavyweight going to Memphis, Johnny Manziel, one of the biggest heavyweights in the quarterbacking realm. So Johnny Manziel signs with the Memphis Express. Fitzmagic signs with the Miami Dolphins. And Blake Bortles is out visiting with the Los Angeles Rams. All the heavyweight quarterbacks in the NFL are finding landing spots and in the alliance. So what do you think of this Manziel signing for the Memphis Express?
Yeah, I think it's not good. I think it's going to be overhyped. I think the national sports media just loves the clickbait that Manziel brings. Overall, though, in reality, I think he's going to throw some interceptions. I think they should have. Now, is Zach Mettenberg, is he out for good?
I know he got injured in the game. I didn't see what the injury report looked like afterwards.
Yeah, maybe they'll give it
sometimes we
today.
don't get that till today. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see it going well. This league, if anything, if not for anything, this league is really good defensively. There's not a lot of high-flying scores, and that actually surprises me, Loudbeard. Normally, when the football is bad, you get a lot of like back and forth, don't you? I when this league first came out, I envisioned a lot of like 30 to 35s or 42 to 56 like type scores because the defense wouldn't be as good. They'd be out of position. They'd get lost. They'd get I don't know. They just wouldn't play that well. And especially when you add in the fact that you can only rush 5 at the quarterback, I thought there would be a lot more scoring, especially a lot better rushing yards. And we made the comment the other day, while we were at the game, nobody can seem to get a rushing game going in this league, and it's baffling.
Yeah, it's surprising you're not seeing more of these breakaway runs or there's just not a lot of big chunk plays like you would expect, like you're saying. Now, a guy that is known for making big chunk plays, Ryan Fitzmagic, is now a Miami Dolphin and could be the starter going into the season because the Dolphins traded away Tannehill. You think Fitzmagic has one more go at it in the NFL?
I mean, the cycle of Fitzmagic says yes. I mean, this is what he does. He gets cut from a team. He gets signed to a team as a backup. He does well. They got to go away from him because they don't need him as a backup anymore. And then somebody signs him as a starter. He does well a couple of games, and then he goes bad, and then he gets cut from a team.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. That makes sense. It's only happened. He's only been on like 8 or 10 teams, and the same exact cycle happened.
He's on the Vince Carter plan.
All right, now Bortles to L.A. It's not done, but he's just visiting right now. Bortles. Do you think he makes it to L.A., and would he be a good fit as a backup to Jared Goff?
I think he'd be a hell of a backup to Jared Goff, and he would flourish in that system they got out there. We mentioned the one thing that I like about Sean McVay is that he caters his offense to his players and to their strengths. So I think he'll be a solid backup for the Rams. They're in good hands if Goff needs to go down for a game because like of a tweaked ankle or a short shoulder or God forbid a concussion. So they'll be all right. But the one thing you kind of glazed over was Tannehill going to Tennessee. Is this going to be the quarterback competition we didn't know we needed?
No, I think it's going to be Mariota's position, and then what will happen is 4 weeks in, he'll get hurt, and then Tannehill will come in, and I guess maybe that's where your controversy will come.
Yeah,
so,
he'll complete like 20 like out routes and quick slants in a row, and then people will be like, "Oh my God, it's Ryan Tannehill!"
Crown him! He's the new champ. He's the new king. Wow, Chris America, we're already running out of time.
It's over, man.
I have to say this real quick. Rory McIlroy wins the Players' Championship. Congratulations to Rory. Big win out there, and it has been a fantastic show. I always enjoy our mornings.
Yeah, even though we got stood up by the Golden Ghost. Said he was going to come last night. Texted us at 11 o'clock. Hey, you guys going to record?
I don't get it.
And he said, I'll be there. Real quick.
Yes.
We weren't complaining about the food, Memphis Men's. We were complaining about the food for Bill Polian, not for us. That spread was perfect for us.
I'd eat hamburgers all day, every day.
Chili dogs, yo. Although they did need some shredded cheese.
Yeah. Weak. Hey, what's up there, listeners? This is your friendly neighborhood Loudbeard, and I'm here to tell you that there's 2 types of people in the world. Those that are on a podcast and those that want to be on a podcast. And if you are one of those out there that want to be on a podcast, one of the first decisions you will need to make is which podcast host you want to use. That's right. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, you need to check out Podbean. Here at Scout Team Radio, we have been using Podbean since the very beginning, and we absolutely love it. They are easy to use, and they have affordable options. Just go to podbean.com/STR. That's right, Scout Team Radio. Podbean.com/STR to get started today. What are you waiting for?